So it's about 1 hour before the kick-off of the first match of the new season, and I've got my tablet here ready to watch. And before I do, I thought I'd go through the Manchester United app, the official app, of which I received no sponsorship, I might add, to see how my predictions compare to the actual official lineups. The lineups have just come in, and as we can see, they've got De Gea at the back, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, McTominay, Fred, Pogba, Bruno, James, and Greenwood. I'm not going to look at the Leeds lineup now, but in the predictions, as you can see, my lineup, I got 50 points, 8 of 11, because I got the whole of the back five correct. No big surprises there. Varane's not been officially announced, so he wouldn't have been able to start anyway. In the midfield, I thought that maybe there was going to be a bit of a change. I thought Matic had been playing well, and I thought that I still think that Van der Beek is a secret weapon that Ollie intends to use at some point, but clearly not today. I thought Martial might be ready, but it looks like he's not. And while I was preparing my predicted lineup, I was thinking about Daniel James, because I think his pace is exactly the kind of thing you need against a defence like Leeds. But I couldn't find a way to shoehorn him in this formation. I was right about the formation as well, the 4-2-3-1. There's been a lot of talk about the 4-3-3, but I think there's still players not available to play. There's still and more importantly, I think the result of the previous season was heavily influenced by a bad start at the beginning of the whole thing, because at the end of the season we were 12 points off the top, and at least 6 of those points, maybe 9, could have been avoided just by getting out of the blocks better at the beginning. It doesn't surprise me to see Solskjaer preferring Fred and McTominay. As you'll see in my FAM video, it's not the team that I would go with if I were the manager, but Ollie has a lot of faith in them, and I understand why, because they're hard working, and the double pivot does provide the extra protection. So, looking at the other aspects of my predictions for the match, I've predicted a 3-2 win for Manchester United. I'm expecting it to be an exciting match, and I'm going to be extremely disappointed if it's not. First scorer, I feel Pogba might be a good bet for this one. I wouldn't underestimate Greenwood either. That was the sound of my lovely partner going past with 2 aubergines. Oh yeah, and the man of the match, a certain Mr. Bruno Fernandes, simply because he normally is. And especially with the 4-2-3-1, like we've seen in a lot of the videos of how United will line up in the season ahead with the 4-3-3, that the one thing that might disadvantage would be, I don't know if I should wear the shades. No. Yeah, the one thing that the 4-3-3 will slightly disadvantage would be Fernandes, because he's really excelled in that central attacking midfielder position. So yeah, those are my predictions for the match. I'll watch the match later, maybe make another video to talk about it, and then I'll get to the FAM section where I will play the lineup that I would have chosen if I were the manager. So, looking forward to it. Bye bye, and see you shortly. So, a few hours after the match that ended 5-1 to Manchester United, a marvellous game, thoroughly entertaining throughout, I'm going to watch the highlight reel and I'm going to put it here and see whether I get murdered for copyright treason. I'm going to watch it with the sound off. So the first thing that we can see is the guys coming out onto the pitch. I think probably the big surprise of the day was that there were no big surprises. It's all the same players from the previous season. But there's the first goal, and to me, that is just such a perfect example of how the whole game was being played. It wasn't just the goal, it was the build-up and everything, the decisive passing, Bruno's touch there to bring it down is absolutely superb. You could say he was lucky to get the ball in the back of the net, but the shot was intended to go through the legs of the goalkeeper. And there's a cracking goal from Leeds. And at that point, 1-1. I'm going to pause for a moment. At that point, 1-1, people with more than a couple of years worth of memory remember seasons where this kind of game would have ended up as a loss for United. People old enough to remember times like when I was young, under the reign of a certain Mr. Alex Ferguson, or Sir Alex Ferguson, I should say. I've had quite a long time of trying to accustomize to being a mid-table team, like your Arsenals or Tottenhams, for example. But yeah, for a true fan, there was so many times in the past where United just seemed to lose confidence and buckle, and the season gone, to me, was the transition season. That was the point where United started to look like they could compete at the highest level again. They're still short of a trophy to back that up, but I think this is going to be the season where they're also going to add silverware, and Ollie has really cemented his place as a truly inspirational manager. So to continue with the highlights, another decisive pass by Pogba, and Greenwood just finishes it off excellently. I'm really excited about the idea of Greenwood playing. Well, I think this is kind of something that Ollie was alluding to in the post-match comments. I'm going to pause again. Something that Ollie was talking about is basically this idea of a number 9 or a number 10 or a number whatever is a completely outdated way of thinking about football, and you just want an attacking line of players who can move around and take their chances from anywhere. But if you really want to fix a zone for them to work from, it makes absolute sense to me to be getting Greenwood more and more experience down the centre, because he is an ambidextrous player and there's not many of those around, so you've really got to take advantage of that, because he just really frustrates defenders. They always want to try and push you to your left or your right, knowing which one is your weaker foot. These players do their research before the matches, so they know what your weaker foot is. And with a player like Greenwood, you don't know which foot he's going to shoot with, and that makes it incredibly difficult for the defender and for the goalkeeper as well, because the goalkeeper's trying to position themselves in relation to where the defender is trying to block the shot. But I really like the fact that Cavani is there as what you would call the pure number 9, and the games that need that kind of focal point, he can step in, and we see a transitional period again where Greenwood doesn't just have to be the out-and-out striker from the beginning of his career. He can phase in gradually and start taking more and more responsibility, as he did in this game. Throughout the game, he was moving around. He looked fresh. He looked like he's really enjoying his football. And the whole match was like chalk and cheese to this time last year, where United came off a long season with COVID restrictions, limiting the number of 0 fans, and problems with Harry Maguire and Greenwood off the pitch that were haunting them into the start of the season as well. So I'm going to go back to the highlights. That one was where the ball quite clearly crossed the line, but because it happened quickly, you didn't have time during the match to be completely sure. Just another fantastic takedown from Bruno to then be able to get his shot off. And this to me is the point of the VAR, that you can play your replay and say, look, the ball is clearly past the line. All this nonsense with offsides and everything is they're trying to remedy it now by having a zone instead of a fine line, but it's just going to create a whole new set of problems. I think Bruno playing for Manchester United is a very different person than Bruno playing for Portugal. I think at United he sees himself as a natural leader and somebody who can steer the game. But in Portugal, he's more of a reactor. He has to try and feed balls through to Ronaldo, who is and probably will continue to be for some time the focal point of that team. There was a lot of hype at the signing of Bruno of how can Bruno and Pogba play in the same team, but today was a perfect example of how that is possible. You don't need them to stick to a particular zone, exactly as I was saying earlier with who's the natural number 9 of the squad. It makes for more exciting football, and it makes for more difficult way of playing for the opposition if you don't stick to specific zones and your team are moving around between their skill sets. The attacking players can do this, and the midfield players can do this. The defending line can do this. Anyway, I'm going to go back to watching the highlights. I think Pogba was one of only 7, I think they said, players to get 4 assists in a single match. And that one was probably the best of the lot. Oh no, wait a minute. No, I think that the other one wasn't a Pogba assist. This one was the other Pogba assist, the one where he sets it up for Fred. So exciting to see Fred score a goal, but I don't like it when Ollie jokes about him never scoring as well, because I think that undermines his confidence and makes him not take a chance when he does get one. If you notice at the end of the highlight reel, they literally just show Jadon Sancho come out onto the pitch, because there were no other highlights after that point. But the important thing was that we got to see Sancho playing in the United shirt, and so exciting and heartwarming to see a full stadium as well, and to hear them, the reaction of the crowd. The previous season was tough for everybody, but I think for United, the evidence is clear that the away record was fantastic, because you don't expect to have the support of a crowd. But the home form suffered, and in a game like this, first game of the season against a traditional one of the three big rivals of United, which is Liverpool, City, Manchester City and Leeds, that they all have different reasons why they're the historical rivals. In my time, well, I say in my time, when I was, it's still my time now, but when I was younger, it was Arsenal were the big threat, and then later Chelsea. But there was never really the same kind of rivalry between the clubs. It was more just between those teams during the matches that they played with each other, like the famous ones with Keane and Vieira, giving it some of this. But yeah, this was a really important way to start the season, and I think United did absolutely fantastic. From a fan's point of view, a perfect result. From a FAM perspective, a little bit problematic, because how do I improve on perfection? But that's for the next part of the video, which is coming soon. Welcome to the FAM portion of this video, with me, your host, and the manager of Manchester United. It says they're all in the social, but that's because they've not updated their graphics yet. Oh. I'll tell you what I do wrong with this game. Is that I've not learned the buttons for quickly changing the tactics, and so I have to be in a situation where I can look. Oh, come on, kick it. There's a goal. Martial repays my faith in him. I knew he could do it. McTominay with the tenacity. McTacity. The ball skips out. The ball skips out on Martial. And he bags a goal. Oh, Martial causing scenes.
Oh, that's an awful way to turn an attack into defence. Here we go. Just overstepped it. Whoops. Come on, Luke, get it on your left. Sets it up for Greenwood, who never, ever misses. Mason taking it to the new zone. That's not the kind of pass I wanted. Oh, great play. Big cross coming in. Did he win a penalty? No. I'm going to just hoof it there and see what happens. Ooh, Pogba was right up for that one. Harry keeps it. He can't cross it though. He's just not got the boots for it. That wasn't Pogba stepping on his own feet, that was my thumb stepping on its own thumb. Oh, don't let him in. I don't expect Wan-Bissaka to win an aerial duel, but I'll take it. A fantastic half. I'm very proud of the boys so far. Martial 14th minute, Greenwood 30th. So we're already a goal higher at half time than United were in the real world. There's the goal. First goal. Well, I won't watch all the highlights. You can watch them back yourself. 2 goals, 4 shots to 2, 4 shots on target to 1, 41% to 59. They can have as much of the ball as they want as long as I'm winning. 6 tackles to 3, fouls are clear, everybody's been good. And I've had more corners. My shot accuracy is 100, but my pass accuracy is quite poor. I intend to improve on that for the second half. McTominay's playing a great game, as he did in real life. Oh, that's asking a lot. And he nearly got it. You can just never predict which side the defenders are going to try and turn. That's the problem with playing an artificial intelligence. Oh, gets the ball and just does nothing. The hair completely capitulated. It seemed to pass through his body. It did pass through his computer glitch or the hair glitch. Come back, Henderson, all's forgiven. Jadon Sancho proves his worth. Then shimmy to the left, skip to the right, ducking and diving. Watch. To the right. Right, he didn't shimmy end. There, that was the one. But in the words of Mourinho, it was his body, but it was my mind. That was when he was talking about Luke Shaw. I need to paraphrase me. So, FAM isn't only about playing a game on FIFA, it's about trying to use it as a simulator to compare it with the real life matches. And so, I would be thinking, if this were a real game, about making a substitution later to keep some of my star players fresh for the next match. But I'm not quite at that point yet. I'm going to wait till the 70th minute. Sliding tackle right in the way to it. He's not great in the air. Right, so this is the time. And this is the way that I'm going to be making more use of Van der Beek. Because Van der Beek is my substitute for any of these three. In this particular game, I'm pleased with how McTominay's doing the defensive duties as well. So I'm not going to be dropping him out of the situation. I could have brought Matic on to defend the lead, but I actually think that Van der Beek can keep on hold of the ball and slow an enemy's progress. Oh, and Scott McTott. 4-0. Now, if that stays like this, would you say 4-0 is better than 5-1? Because I kept a clean sheet and still got 4 goals, goal difference. Or am I talking too soon now? I am, because they've already scored one. I've forgotten. I need one, and then I can safely say that I'm as good as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Oh, Wan-Bissaka does what he does best. Just tackle along the ground. great pressure. Oh, good advantage played. Doesn't turn. Gets it back. Oh, no goal though. Can I get that illustrious fifth? I don't mean illustrious. Never mind. Elusive, that was the word. What an elusive word. Are you only got it crossing Jadon Sancho? No, you can't even keep the ball. Oh, you nightmare. Really a gift. What was I thinking? I'm sure he's something of a liability defensively. In future games, I will be experimenting with a 3-man defensive line and put Shaw up into midfield. But now I'm just looking and noticing that McTominay has to come off. In the game he's pulled a hamstring, but in real life he hasn't, so he will be available for selection next week. This is a time for Mr. Fred to come on. Oh yeah, no, I'm going to still keep Van der Beek up there. Okay. You see, sometimes your substitutions are forced on you through injuries. But yeah, for that reason I am going to keep the injuries on in the game, because players do get tired, and even if it's not an injury that stops them from playing in the following match, it could be enough to coming off. Oh, and Bruno does what he does best, and he scores the 5th as well. That deserves man of the match. Controversially, I would actually say that the decision to give him man of the match by the fans and users of the official Manchester United app was actually slightly misguided, because even though he scored a hat-trick, Pogba also broke quite a significant record by getting 4 assists. So my man of the match was Paul Pogba. But for this game, my man of the match was McTominay, I think. I can't believe I've managed to win 5-1. I'm really, really pleased with that. And for anybody who thinks that it's because I've got the gameplay set too easy, you only have to watch this to see that I played multiple versions before I finally managed to win a game. I cheated a bit, but I did play this game from start to finish at the difficulty level that is suitable for my, not only my skill set, but also for my technology set, because I've had some real difficulties getting the technology set up. But just to finish by watching the highlight reel, it's so bizarre for me now to be thinking that I've had multiple crashes and not managed to finish a game, but I had various games where I was losing before I quit them and tried to start again and set it up properly, tweaking settings and everything. And the first game that I actually managed to play from start to finish, I not only win it, but I win it by the exact same score as the real match. I think I might have mentioned earlier, but just in case I didn't, I do wonder if I've picked the worst possible season to start the FIFA Armchair Manager, because I think United are going to win this season. So there's not going to be many games where I can say, oh, Ollie did it completely wrong, he should have done it like this. But, as you've just seen, he could have done it like this and still got the same result. Which game was more exciting? For an impartial witness, real life. But for an artificial intelligence, maybe they might vote for this. So, after much exhaustion, I present the first ever FAN and FAM cam